We lead off with the latest in the Middle East, where a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is in its fifth day and holding. But many questions remain over a lasting peace in Gaza, as well as the scaling up of aid deliveries, which have now hit a roadblock. These are aid trucks in Egypt waiting to head to Rafah's border crossing. There are reports Israel plans to cut the number of trucks allowed into Gaza by half, limiting the distribution of crucial assistance. Israel is accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire agreement by delaying the release of the remains of 24 dead hostages. Meanwhile, new video out of Gaza City today shows heavy equipment clearing debris from 2 years of fighting. Among the major challenges ahead will be arranging the longer-term reconstruction. We are also seeing new images from Israeli hospitals where families have been early to embrace loved ones held hostage for the past, eager to embrace loved ones held hostage for the past 2 years.
When we met him, he really wanted to share with us what was his experience, but we focused, to be honest, on being a family again.
So Eitan was released less than 24 hours ago, so he's not sharing so much. He's just like throwing here and there some stories.
These developments, let's turn to the CBC's Crystal Gumansing live in Jerusalem. Crystal, some relief there at the hospital after all 20 living Israeli hostages were returned yesterday. 1,900 Palestinian prisoners and detainees were also returned home. And as I mentioned, Israel is also awaiting the release of the remains of 24 other hostages. What more can you tell us about any progress that's being made with that?
Well, Andrew, local media here in Israel is saying that tonight, in about 2 hours' time, the remains of 4 more Israelis held captive in Gaza are expected to be turned over to the international community of the Red Cross and then into the hands of Israel Defense Forces. Now, those 4 would bring the total number of bodies returned to Israel to 8. That is still meaning that there is a remaining 20 individuals to be turned over. Now, we did get some information about the identities of the 4 remains that were returned yesterday, and I can share some of that information with you based on what Israeli officials are saying after forensic testing was done. We do know that Guy Ilus has been confirmed to have had his remains returned to Israel. Officials say that he died as a result of inadequate medical attention to wounds that he had suffered when he fled from the Nova Music Festival site on October 7, 2023. They are also saying that Bipin Joshi, who is a Nepalese agricultural student who was taken hostage on October 7th, they say that his remains were positively identified, and they say that he was shot and killed by the captives relatively early on in the war. And the third individual whose identity has been released publicly now is that of Yoshi Sharabi. They say he was killed in captivity. His family knew that he had been killed and that they were waiting for his remains to be returned. His brother Ali was also in captivity. He was freed back as a part of a ceasefire agreement and hostage exchange deal on February 8th this year. Now, because there are still so many bodies to be returned, Israel has said that this is a violation of the peace agreement, and they have said that they will not allow the Rafah border crossing to reopen, and they have told the UN that they are going to reduce the number of aid trucks rolling into Gaza starting tomorrow. The original number, Andrew, was supposed to be 600. They are saying that will be halved to 300. We also heard from the Hostage and Missing Families Forum. They are outraged by the fact that all of the remains have not been returned yet. And they actually wrote a letter to the U.S. Special Envoy, Steve Witkoff. And the line from that letter says, "What we feared is now happening before our eyes." So there is a lot of moving pieces here, a lot of anger and frustration being expressed tonight. But we also heard from a spokesperson for the Red Cross saying given the damage, given the destruction, it will take time to locate all of the remains inside of Gaza.
There is clear indication that this might take much more time because of the difficulty to find the human remains in Gaza in particular. That's the case for the human remains of hostages, but in general, human remains, as we've discussed before, that may be under the rubble, considering the intensity of the conflict over the last days, particularly in Gaza City. Now, are they in Gaza City? Are they in the south of the Gaza Strip? Are they in the middle of the Gaza Strip? These are information that we don't have.
Now, while Israel is considering this a violation of the peace agreement, it is worth noting, Andrew, that at the time of the negotiations in Sharm el-Sheikh, Hamas officials did say that they wouldn't be able to turn over all of the remains, that it would take time for them to locate their whereabouts inside of Gaza.
Crystal, in another development, the Israeli military says troops fired on people who were approaching its forces, which they say was in violation of the ceasefire deal. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts that have been unfolding throughout the day. Israel Defense Forces earlier in the day say that there were some individuals that were approaching the yellow line, that agreed upon area that troops would pull back to, allowing for the ceasefire and the hostage returns. They say that they had given a warning to those individuals. They did not listen, and then shots were fired. Now, we did hear from some people in Gaza who spoke to a freelance journalist that works for the CBC. They told him that these people were not near that yellow line in the north and that they were just young individuals.
يعني انت عارف هدول اطفال وما لهمش لا هم مقاومه ولا نيله ولا حاجه فاحنا بدنا خلص وقفت اطلاق النار خلص وقفت اطلاق النار ليش تضربوا في الناس هي تو بقول لك انه بتداول ان اسرائيل بتقول هذه منطقه صفراء مش منطقه صفراء كذب.
So the ceasefire really is just still in its early days, Andrew, and now we have a situation where both sides are saying there are violations currently.
And Crystal, I also wanted to ask you about video verified by the Reuters news agency. Hamas has confirmed it executed 7 people in an incident yesterday, accusing them of being collaborators of Israel. And CBC's Journalistic Practices Department has approved use of a still image from the video, which we can bring up for you now. And a warning, the image is disturbing. It was taken shortly before the individuals were killed.
Yeah, so this video appears to show several people bound right before they were shot. CBC has not independently verified the contents of this video. However, as you mentioned, Andrew, the Reuters news agency has, and so has the BBC. So those two agencies have verified it. The video was posted on social media, and the location is said to be Gaza City. Now, it is unclear when the video was recorded, but it was released on Monday. Now, Hamas leaders did tell Reuters news agency that the individuals killed were collaborators as well as criminals. Hamas says that some of their members, as well as other members from different factions operating in Gaza, took part in the execution. At this point, neither Reuters nor the BBC, and CBC certainly hasn't either, they have not been able to verify the identification of any of those who were shot based on that video that has been released on social media, Andrew.
Crystal, thank you. That is the CBC's Crystal Gumansing live in Jerusalem.